This is Broadcast Beat Magazine with Ryan Salazar.
Ryan Salazar here with Broadcast Beat Magazine. We have Todd Dean from Affordable Cyc Walls. How you doing, Todd?
I'm doing fine, Ryan. How are you?
Doing great. So we've known Todd for quite some time. In fact, Todd put his cyc walls in the Broadcast Beat Studios facility. Todd, where are you at right now?
I'm in Los Angeles at Eddie Barber's Studios. It's a new studio here that Eddie is putting together literally just this month. And we moved in yesterday, brought our pieces in. They actually were shooting a horror movie, his very first project, rental out of the studio. So today we're putting up his cyc wall.
Okay, if you don't mind, it's kind of cool that you're mobile in there. Show us around and show us what you guys are doing and how your process works.
Well, basically, Steve here we just started literally like about 30 minutes ago, and he put in the cornerstone, which is over here. We've got the cornerstone and the vertical put in. And for people who are not familiar with affordable cyc walls, it's made of a solid polystyrene body. Here's the back side of the piece. And then covered with a fiberglass mesh. And then this is just one coat right now, but this is a polymer cement coating. But anyway, you glue it in with Gorilla Glue into your existing wall and spackle your seams. You almost have an instant cyc wall. The nice thing about being a solid body is that you can't step through it like the hollow systems that are out there. And even if you go to our website, affordablecycwall.com, you'll see a truck sitting on a cyc wall. It's totally unheard of. It's not that we expect or want you to be driving on the cyc wall, but that does happen by accident quite often, and it quite often ruins the cyc wall. This product will, take care of an accident like that. You can't drive through it. I always don't want the people to think it's not indestructible, because you can destroy the cyc wall with a pickaxe or something. But common accidents like that, walking on and stuff like that, doesn't hurt it.
What made you come up with this concept? I mean, you are the inventor of the affordable cyc wall, right, and you're quite known in the industry for this amazing setup. Tell us a little more about how you got into this whole thing.
I've been a production designer for about 25 years or so, building sets and things like that. And I started, kind of experimenting with polystyrene as opposed to plywood and wood, because it was lighter to work with. You could sculpt it, and you would make waterfalls, all kinds of interesting things that I've learned how to do. And I kept thinking, you could do a cyc wall out of this stuff. And everyone was saying, I don't know, that seems kind of flimsy. I said, no, I think it's the opposite. I think it's quite strong, especially with the polymer cement coating like we put on it. And so I just built my first one, and basically after I had one to show somebody, I built another, and now they're all over the United States, almost in every state except for I think the North and South Dakotas, and we have them in Canada. I'm actually going to England in a couple weeks to possibly do a European manufacturer, because I get emails every week or two people wanting them in Europe.
So when people think of cyc walls, you think, well, Broadcast Beat Studios, we have a 30-foot cyc wall. We also have a 20-foot cyc wall. The 30-foot is our green screen, and I'm going to show it real quick to our viewers. So this is just a quick shot. That's the wide shot of our 30-foot green screen that we've got, our cyc wall. And I'm going to just quickly zoom in with our robotic camera here. You're going to see right there is look at how freaking smooth the arch is. I mean, it's unbelievable. So that's the 3-foot radius. Our 20-foot cyc wall is on the opposite wall. I'm not going to show that one right now, but Todd, so when people think of cyc walls, they think of this massive curve on the wall. And back in the day, I think it was, I could be wrong, maybe not drywall, but more like plywood or whatever. And so
there's all kinds of ways to do it. A lot of times they built like a boat, where you built these ribs and you would try to bend plywood or masonite into those ribs. People still kind of do that. It's a really complicated and labor-intensive way of doing it, and it's not very strong. They don't last very long that way. You can step through them. There's all kinds of really bad things that could happen to them. Whereas this is a prefab system. It goes pretty much, you glue it on Gorilla Glue almost instantaneously and do your seams, and everything's perfect, ready to go. Paint it and start shooting, basically. But yeah, you're right. They used to make the radiuses bigger, 4 foot, sometimes 5 foot, so they could bend that piece easier. We sell the 3 foot like you just showed, and then so a 2 foot, and that's what we're putting in here today is a 2 foot radius. I sell the 2 foot actually a little more often than 3 foot because it takes up less floor space. So when you're actually putting in a cyc wall, you got a foot less of cyc coming out on the floor. You've got more studio space, and which is real important for studios that are smaller because you're not having cyc take up valuable staging basically.
And Todd, so when people think of cyc walls, of course they're thinking this structure basically against a wall. How do you ship that? And I know how you do because I know you've got pieces and stuff, but go ahead and explain a little bit how somebody puts something like that together.
Well, basically it'll come it's cut out of what's called billets, and it'll come back. Once we coat them, like I was showing you, there's coating on a gray coating here, polymer cement. Once we coat the product, we'll put it right back into the slots. In fact, if you don't mind, I'll walk outside here. We have one out here that we can show you.
That'd be great.
Kind of collapsed because it's all empty, but at least you'll get an idea of how it's going to come. It comes like a big cube, so it's protected. You can see it's pretty smashed. Can you see it there? Unfortunately, it looks like a big mess, but that is what it came in. That's the shell it came in, and that protects it as it's shipped to your location. And then basically you unpack it. You take all your pieces out, which over here is a big pile of the pieces that we're getting ready to put in today. If you can see them behind me, they're right there behind me, all ready to put in. And then you're just gluing this in with Gorilla Glue. And I'm sure everyone's seen Gorilla Glue. I'll hold up a bottle of it here. Here we go. I don't want to do an ad for Gorilla Glue, but we use it all the time. But and then you're gluing it in. The neat thing about Gorilla Glue is water. By spraying water, actually activates it, makes it dry very quickly in an hour or so. You can see we've actually screwed some boards to it for that hour to keep it pressed up against the wall, and that's all you do. That is the total installation process right there. Of course, then once all your pieces are glued in, you're going to take spackling and spackle your seams, float the floor and the wall into the product, and then once that's dry and sanded, you're ready to paint.
That's great. Any tips for somebody building a cyc wall as far as the physical wall itself in the back? Seams are a big deal. So this is kind of a good example. In this warehouse that Eddie Barber moved into here, you can see behind me, it's actually a brick wall. Oh wow!
And so he had to put up a sub wall, which is right here, of sheetrock. And he only had to do that because he had a brick wall. This will not work with brick walls or cinder block or something, because it's only covering, the bottom part, and then the rest of this is the cyc wall. It's just like yours. You had a drywall sheetrock wall that we glued your pieces into. But a lot of people already have a wall. Obviously, if you have a studio or you have a shooting space, you already have a flat wall. You're probably painting green or whatever, and so this piece automatically adapts right into that situation. We've even sold recently a couple times to studios that already had a built curved wall, but back maybe 10, 20 years ago, someone built a wall that was already curved, and they just need bottom pieces. And we were successfully able to, with some measurements, to get some data from them, send them pieces that fit their curved wall. So it doesn't always have to be a straight wall either. Because it's polystyrene, it has a little bit of bend to it. I don't know if you can see that. See that kind of bending a little bit? So it'll fit walls that are a little wobbly even, or a little unlevel. Same way with the floor. So it has you have a lot of freedom to make things fit in different workspaces.
All right, well, Todd, so if somebody's interested in getting one of your systems, because again, you've got the 2 foot radius, the 3 foot radius, you've got the corner units, where does someone go to go ahead and get this stuff?
Well, you go to affordablecycwall.com. It's affordable, AFFORDABLE. Cyc is spelled CYC, wall, WALL.com. And you'll find my website, and there's some videos there. There's a video of me last year at the NAB talking about it. There's an install time lapse. You can watch one be installed real real quickly, like a 2-minute version. And there's also a couple other things, lots of literature on there. And then contact phone numbers on there, which is 614-266-1211. And you can call me, you can email me.
Todd Dean from Affordable Cyc Walls.